Figured I better prepay for tonight. It could be one of those nights tonight. Yeah. It was a good day for the most part. Boss seemed to be in a good mood. Come in the shop this morning, had me do a full brake job on a Dodge Durango, and I was able to teach somebody else how to do brakes. I did two of them and then had them do the other two. I did one front, one rear, so they could see how it was done, and then walked them through step by step on how to do a front and rear brake. It's pretty good. Did a few other things in the shop, cleaned the shop up. Yeah, not a big deal. Go down to the gas station. Got to get some cash out of the ATM. Pay for my part. And I walk outside, and there's this big old puddle underneath the Expedition. Big old puddle. Yeah. I find out that the front seal on that differential that was slightly leaking has completely blown all the way out. Mint. So now I get to wire that piece in. Um, and I get to replace that rear seal. And then the other driver decided that he didn't want to drive tomorrow, so I get to drive. And I was really hoping, because I'm at my 40 hours, I was really hoping to just send the boss a text message and be like, yeah, blew the pinion seal out of my truck. You mind if I take tomorrow off? Yeah. Nope. No. Not that I don't need the overtime, but yeah. So the garage won't be completely finished, but I will have a truck in here. I'll be working on it this weekend, getting everything done that I can get done on it. Because I have to put the original turn signal switch back in, replace the clip, and then replace the rear seal. And it was just filled with 80-90 weight Schaefer synthetic oil in the back. I mean, and that's not cheap. And I'm going to have to get some more. Do it again.
Billy says yo.
What's happening, Billy? So, yeah, because the more I fester on it, the more I really just want to cuss everything out, because I've got enough car issues right now. Um, got the Super Duty back.
No Oilers show up yet?
Nope. Really could use them about now, because these cars are getting expensive. And for whatever reason, the cruise control is not working in the F350. And I also realized that I have to go get tabs for it. So hopefully I can get back, at least back in time tomorrow, to run to the DMV real quick, go get tabs for the F350, then go back, wash the truck, call it a day, get the Expedition here, and start working on that. We'll address the rear end stuff right away. I'm gonna have to pull the diff cover off of it. I'm gonna have to go get a bunch of cans of brake clean so I can clean that all out. Make sure I didn't grenade the rear end. I hope not. Because that rear end is not cheap. Why do I know this? Well, because I had an F350 or F150 with the same rear end in it that I grenaded. Because I treated that truck like a 1-ton dually. I drug everything with that truck. If it fit on the hitch, I was dragging it. Yeah. Not a cheap fix. And I've been nice to this. I don't overload this thing by any means. Put the right tow haul stuff in it. Yeah. Suppose I got it in here, I could put in the new 7-pin connector. I do have that too. I don't like doing a whole lot of mechanicking stream because mechanicking, I like to just have the music going, getting stuff done, just doing my thing. I get in the zone. And
Hey 9 and reformed Panty and Electric.
what's happening? 9, what's happening? Electric Dreams, good to see you. Reform Panty, what's happening? Like I said yesterday, I'm not oblivious to the fact that I have very high mileage stuff. The Expedition is rolling about 246,000 miles. The Diesel's 351,000 miles on it. I'm not oblivious to the fact that I have very, very high mileage equipment. And it's going to need parts. So, yeah. So I'm going to make some room here once I get motivated. I'm going to back the Expedition in. So that's in the garage. It's supposed to start raining sometime tomorrow night. Get that in here.
Is the Diesel in good shape now?
Yeah, I mean, it's drivable. It still needs some love. You know, I wasn't really planning on picking it up for a couple of months yet because it's been kind of a side project for my cousin. It's been a decent side project, so it runs, it drives, it moves. It is going to need an oil pan one of these days. I'm not looking forward to that project because it is a pain in the arse. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, the Diesel's it's running good. Like I said, it's gonna need some love. I should probably dump another quart of ATF in it. Maybe I can get them injectors to come back around in it. It's not lacking power, but there's stiction going on in them. You can tell.
But you are going to keep daily driving Expedition?
Yeah, once I get it fixed. The Expedition, I mean, like I said, I've put a ton of stuff into it. It's just my mechanics are great. They're phenomenal. I just can't always afford them, if that makes sense. I don't like to just make stuff run. I like it to run and function properly, and that's my problem. But that's why my stuff lasts a long time. The diesel, the body will fall off of it before it uh, gives up the ghost. I don't know. Just one of those. Been one of those days. Start off really good. You know, like the diesel has all new brakes in it, new calipers, um, has a ton of new parts in it. Uh, turbo's been rebuilt. The turbo pedestal seals have been replaced. A lot of stuff was done on that truck. And then the Expedition, I mean, that thing's got a laundry list of new stuff done to it. But regardless, they're still old. It's just like people. It doesn't matter how much money you throw at them, eventually they're going to die. That is that is the debate going on in my head. Because granted, these are all minor repairs, but this is why I have to have two vehicles around because I'm always fixing stuff on them. I was very fortunate the few months that we were out ice fishing that the Expedition didn't need any major repair work. Because Lord knows every winter prior to that. See, last winter it was the water pump, the fan clutch, and alternator and a belt. The year before that, it was the starter and the battery, and replacing fuses left and right that were missing. Uh, I take good care of them. Like I said, it's all Schaefer synthetic in my vehicles. Reminds.
Barrican says just sell them all off, get into something new. The repairs might not be that large, but you also have to factor in your time spent dealing with the BS.
Yeah, but truck payments are like $700 and something a month. Well, electric, that's the thing. All my vehicles are paid off. Um, but I mean, as far as except Lolly's car, and I've liked it that way. I've been that way for a number of years now. But at some point in time, I do have to realize the fact that,
Not a lot. How's it going with you?
oh, it's going. I do have to remember the fact that I do need something reliable. And right now, my vehicles are just not being very reliable. They're getting me home, but it's like having the time to work on them is one thing. The space is another because, like, my diesel does not fit in here. It'll fit. Like, I have to have the front end up against the bench and then the back door barrel closes, but I have no room to work on it. nothing major. Everything I've had to either half-ass garages had to do it, or my cousins had to do it. The little bit I've done in the driveway. My driveway is kind of a pain in the tuchus because it sits at an angle. So here's where I need you guys to help, because I'm not in the studio. I could be in the studio. Look up known issues with the 2018 Ford Focus. That one, we'll heart that one. That one's on my possibility list. For $13,354 a month. Mitsubishi Mirage, great cars. I don't fit. Ford Focus Titanium 2017. 80,000 miles on it already for 14,000. But it's a Focus, so we'll give it a heart. Does it have remote start?
John asks what year again?
2018. Oh, this one's all leathered out and everything.
Billy says common issues with the 2018 Ford Focus include transmission problems, stalling, overheating, jerking, and engine issues, bogs down during acceleration, check engine light, stalling while driving, as well as electrical problems like battery issues and infotainment system fail.
Yep, those are off the list. Same thing the Escape had. Yep, nice try. We're done with that one. You know what? Bring on the Oilers. I'm just going to build something that works. Bring on the Oilers. I'm going to go find me a 2011 Ford Ranger with the little 2.0 4-cylinder in it, a 5-speed. They're on $12,000. I'm just going to go buy one of them because I know them trucks inside and out, and they run forever. And I can put my fishing poles in it, and I can put a topper on it, and I'd be very happy. A very happy, happy, happy guy. I'm a happy, 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 happy guy. Oilers, Saudi Princes. Nope, just drive my old junk. Speaking of old junk.
Billy asks you already have a piece of crap van coming? OG says Retro has a Ranger on the lot.
Yeah, I just can't afford to buy anything outright cash right now, and I really hate financing. I'm not a fan of financing cars.
I'm Big Daddy's dad says got an 04 Ranger 2 WD Ranger 240K and going strong. The frames are just known to rock.
See? If you squint, it's mint. If you squint, it's mint. That truck has 350,000 miles on it. It starts like that. 350,000 miles. $350,000. Expedition's got 246. Starts the same way.
Barrican says 250,000 too many.
Well, I mean, you got that Oiler money. Let me get some.
Traded in at 100K.
Let me get some. Hey, just drop. Hey, I tell you what.
Let it be someone else's problem.
I tell you what. I'll make you a deal. Drop. We'll say 100 grand on my PayPal. I'll go get an F-150, and with the little bit of miles I drive, I mean, I maybe do, well, I did 5,000 miles in the last year in the Expedition. So that'll be 15,000 miles, and I'll go trade it in. After that, I can maintain getting the trade-in stuff.
John says if I still had the money for that truck, I would get it.
So here's what I'm going to get, right?
Barrican says I heard a new meaning for Ford, but can't say it here.
Oh,
John
well,
says I love the expeditions.
so here's how we'll do this, right? This is how we're going to do this. American, I don't care. I'll go buy a Dirge. I know you like them Dirges. Send me one so I can go get, because I want the 6.4 liter. So I'll go get the 6.4 liter, right? That's how we'll do that. We'll do that, right? So you send me like, I don't know, 100 grand so I can go get a 3/4 ton with the 6.4 liter in it. I'll get a crew cab all leathered out. I'll put like 15,000 miles on it in 3 years. And then when I go trade it in because it's severely under miles, I'll pay like a couple $1,000 for a new one. And I can maintain that every 3 years. Right? We can do that? No PayPal notifications yet. Hear that? Listen to it. Purring like a kitten out there. Purring like a kitten. Purrs like a kitten. I know. Don't pay no never mind to that Barrican guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Smell of burning diesel. Sit you guys right here. I gotta use the bathroom really quick. See, the thing is that is the epitome of power right there. The epitome of power. She may not win any drag races. Geek Boy, what's happening? She may not win any drag races. But 351,000 miles. Cycle the glow plugs and hit the key. Just the body on it's falling apart.
Ruger wife says, hey, at Geek Boy, fancy meeting you here.
I have zero issues buying 7.3 Power Stroke diesels. Unfortunately, the bodies fall apart on these very quickly. Very, very quickly. Yeah. Commercially, that thing would probably be taken off the road. Probably. Most likely. Yep. Gonna happen. But yeah. Oh, also, let's turn this on.
K9 Gizmo says I was very apprehensive about the 6-cylinder Ford EcoBoost in my F-150, but it definitely outpulls my old F-150 with the 5.4.
I am not a fan of EcoBoosts because everybody I know that has one has to have them worked on all the time. Everybody I know that has the 5.0s, even though the EcoBoost makes more power with the turbo system, you could put a mild turbo kit on the 5.0 V8 Ford and it will outpull the EcoBoost. So my issue with those is the way the turbo is integrated into the motor, and it causes a ton of head issues and a ton of head gasket issues. And yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm very impressed with them. Do not get me wrong. I am extremely impressed with them. It's just they don't like. Well, matter of fact, there was a. I was down at the local shop down there picking up my parts. He ordered them for me, and I just paid for them, so that way I didn't have to worry about running to the store and waiting to try and catch an online order. Um, yeah, but he had one in there that had 169,000 miles on it, and they were changing the plugs out of it. They didn't change the plugs out of it 100,000. They changed the plugs out of it 169,000 miles, and the truck has had zero issues. And the only major issue he's ever fixed on one is a cam phaser froze up on one. Other than that, he just does basic maintenance stuff to them. So when I was originally starting to get serious about looking at F-150s this year, I talked to my buddies who run tow trucks. My father-in-law, I've been very blessed, is a retired Ford heavy line
Mine is a
mechanic.
2011 and never been to the shop yet with the EcoBoost.
Boy, are you lucky. You got a good one. You got a good one, sir. Not even gonna lie. But I called all the guys that I used to work with, being Blue Oval certified, and every one of them, hands down, and I kid you not, I've done my research, because I was pretty serious about buying a brand new truck this year. Every one of them said hands down the 5.0 Coyote motor. Not one person.
Main event 2828 says well legend.
Yeah. I not a single person that I talk to that is a regular Ford mechanic, not a single one of them recommended the EcoBoost motor. No, he's not doing his own thing. He's retired. He spends his summers at the campground. He does a lot of work at the campground. And this time of year in the wintertime, he likes to just, he's like me, he's a YouTube junkie. Likes to just sit down and watch YouTube. So, yeah. Actually, as a matter of fact, Saturday we will have his 5.0 XLT truck here. That is what my wife is going to drive for a while. I'm not going to drive it because I'll never give it back. Because that's exactly what I want. I would kind of want a crew cab, but he has an extended cab. Or no, he has the crew cab. Or is it the extended cab? He might have the crew cab now. I think the old one was an extended cab. I don't remember. But either way, it is the 5.0 Coyote motor. So here's the thing, the precursor of the Coyote motors. What people don't understand is the Coyote motor's been out since the 90s. It used to be strictly a Ford racing engine. It was designed to swap in a modular style motor into a Fox body Mustang. It was also the upgrade for the 4.6 and the 5.4 Mustangs. This thing was a drag race application only motor. Lots of guys bought them. Ford finally took the hint after realizing that the 4.6 and the 5.4 were epic failures. Ford finally took the hint and said, we need to put this thing, start putting this back in the Mustangs, start putting this in the trucks. And it has been absolutely epic ever since. So,
K9 Gizmo says a Geek Boy MNI good buddy of mine is a Ford motor engineer now, but started as a mechanic at a local dealership.
well, I can tell you, and this is just my personal experience, like I said, and talking to the people I talk to, because I want to make sure that I got the right engine option. And every one of them, like I said, and I have nothing against the EcoBoost motors, man. I've seen them things turned up. I've seen what they can do with those things, and they are gnarly. I have zero qualms or quarrels when it comes to the EcoBoost, other than the fact that it seems like once they start hitting around that 70 to 100,000 mile mark, they start having issues. At least everyone around here. And maybe it's because of the cold weather climate we're in. Maybe it's the type of fuel, the winter blend up here. I've heard allegations that the winter blend fuel that they use up here is because we have extreme cold temperature blends. And they're saying the detergent additives in that fuel could be causing the issues with EcoBoost in this area. That is an allegation, not that I know that it's anywhere been founded. So, but like I said, I have to go on. I'm really honestly really dumb when it comes to even the 5.4 in the Expedition. That is something that I don't work on very much at all. Because of the fact that there's a lot of stuff in that motor that I don't understand. A lot of wires. Lots. Also, things like when you go to change the coil pack out of that thing, you have to, in some cases, remove the fuel rail. Because that makes all the sense in the world, right? Let's take the fuel rail off to take a spark plug out. And this is a first gen 5.4, and they were known to just pop the spark plugs out on their own. Thankfully, that has not happened with this one, or did it happen in my 03? My 2003, I put 246,000 miles on. That truck went away with over 300,000 miles on it. I bought it with 100,000 miles on it even. So, mine's an older one. Mine is a first gen. Mine is a first gen 5.4. It's actually a 97. It was a crate motor for a 97 F-150. It's the same thing. There's a few little differences, but that was so a buddy of mine bought a 5.4 liter Ford, bolted it up to a 4.6 transmission, blew the transmission, or it was a buddy of mine's brother, bolted it up to a 4.6 liter transmission, which everybody knows you cannot. You can do that. They will bolt up, but the problem is the 5.4 makes more lower end torque and tends to blow out the 4.6 transmissions. So fast forward, transmission was junk, the rear end was junk, and there was something else wrong with the truck. And we were actively searching for a motor for this truck. And these first gen 5.4s, if you find them, trying to find one with under 250,000 miles on it is almost impossible. Well, this motor came up. I had another Expedition in my yard, a base model Expedition, that had a 4.6 liter in it. And he basically said he would trade me that motor for that Expedition if I traded in the whole other Expedition. The other Expedition I didn't have a title for. I literally bought it for parts. That was it. Traded that Expedition, got the motor, traded another truck and some cash to get the motor installed. My mom got to drive it one summer and then she passed away. So, buddy of mine bought a 98 F-150 with a 5.4 and got a good 120,000 miles before trading it in when his job started having him travel. He went to a 4-cylinder Escape. He is going to hate that Escape. Everybody I know that has the Escapes have issues, including us. Ours blew the motor up in it, which is how we ended up with a Subaru, which is sounding like it's going to need a new motor. Maybe, just maybe, God will shine down on me and say, you know what? My wife will come to me and say, I want an old school car or truck. I don't need all the bells and whistles. And I can go find her like a 1978 F-150 or something of that nature, or a 78 Ford Bronco, something that is carbureted, that I can put aftermarket fuel injection on.
My last 3 out of 4 state-issued vehicles were Expeditions. My 2000 was awesome. My 2006 was the worst I ever had. The 2011 was all right, but did have some issues. but my 2015 Ford F-150 was one of my best police vehicles I ever had.
Nice. Yeah. My Expedition, I complain a lot because this thing, I call it the money pit. I name the Expedition the money pit because it is, as long as I've had it, it has always costed me money. My mother, God rest her soul, I'm thankful that she didn't have to go through this because it would have broken her heart with as much as I've had to put into this truck. Because she would have been having to bring this thing to the shop all the time. So, and it's not, and it's all normal stuff, but family friendly. Hey, I've done pretty
Dash
good.
says, what's the common denominator for your Escape and Subaru? The driver. It's all the driver. LMFAO.
Oh man, I don't want to put that on her, but it is. One of the arguments that I have with my wife is that she needs to drive her stuff more. So, like tonight, I fired up the diesel. I went out and drove around for about half an hour before I started the stream. Um, it is a common battle here in the Cleveland house because we drive 3 blocks to work. That will cause engine sludge. Her friend just bought a Kia Soul and was told that there's sludge in the engine. I said, because people are not driving these things. If you plan on buying a vehicle and driving it into the ground, you have to drive them. Short distances on a vehicle on a regular basis will develop sludge in the engine and it will kill a motor. It is not an uncommon fact. It has been that way for decades. The oil has to at least get warmed up. It has to get to running temperature before you shut these things off. And it's not, you can't go by coolant temperature because oil takes longer to heat up than coolant. Even though the coolant is warm, the oil is not. And people will find out. If you're
K9 Gizmo says same with a boat. A boat needs to be used.
It does. That's why, like me, when I go, my son knows that when my boat goes out.
Dash says I need to hire her to come clean for me or something once a week. That's a good drive for it.
Yeah, let me know how that works. So, just like now when I fire my diesel, it takes that diesel truck, and I know this for a fact. I've owned enough 7.3s. I've built enough 7.3s. I've run enough 7.3s in my life. It takes 30 minutes of runtime for that diesel.
My thoughts exactly.
It takes 30 minutes of runtime for that diesel engine for the oil to heat up. There is 16 quarts of oil. Or is it 18? 16. 16 quarts of oil, 4 gallons in that truck. That oil needs to be at running temperature. So this is the debate that I've had with my wife. It is why when we were talking about buying an EV vehicle for her originally, it is why people started making fun of us. And I was like, my wife just does not drive them enough. For her, an electric vehicle would be phenomenal. If I could find a decent electric golf cart for her, an electric golf cart with a heater system in it to drive across
Google
the street.
says 15 quarts.
Yeah, Google's wrong. It's 16. I think I'm just going to let the local mechanic fix the rear end. In that, I really do. I've been sitting here pondering it. He knows those rear ends very, very well. So those rear ends, like the one in the Expedition, is not like a common rear end. It has clutches in it. Um, and with that, the clutches have to be um, they have to be inspected, and I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. That is why I had him build the first one.
Our first night as empty nesters, and here we sit in the garage watching you in your garage. We are officially old, boring people.
Yeah, I've not messed with them. Um, when Imes Garage did the rear end in my 03, uh, he put some heavy duty clutches in it, and everybody's like, "Your rear end's going on." I'm like, "No, it's got heavy duty clutches in it because I treat this thing like a 1-ton truck." I'm sitting here debating it because I hate sending stuff off, but one thing I know about that truck is the few things I've done on it myself. I'm further ahead letting somebody else do it because when you make mistakes on that truck, they're very costly. Um, I'm trying to get ahead enough to where I can send this thing. Now that I have the diesel back, I'm going to send, once they're done with it and I know what's going on with the wife's car, I'm sending that truck down to Car Parts Guy. I want him to figure out the disco light thing. And then so every year I add a bonus feature to that truck, something that I like or something that I've wanted done. Um, this year is going to be, I debated between a backup camera and remote start, and I really want remote start more than I need a backup camera. I know how to do the preload stuff. That I don't have a problem with. It is the clutches in the spider gears in that truck. Anything after in Fords, it's 1996 and up. Yeah, 96 and up. Um, they had those rear ends in them. There's two different types of rear ends they put in the half tons. At least in the aero body style, the second gen, they eliminated it. But they, all the way up until 2003, they made two different rear ends for the half tons. You had one that was a heavy half ton, and then you had the regular half ton. The heavy half ton rear end, the axle shafts in the heavy half tons, which is the rear end that has in it, it has a 373 gear ratio in it, which is why it is really hard to
agree.
feel.
Auto start is a must where we live.
Yeah. And me, it's because I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing I don't want to do is run outside in negative 30-degree weather in my underwear and start my truck, because I've done it numerous times. I know I don't have any neighbors up except the lady who also works at the same company I work for. She just works in town, and she's not seen me run this way. But yes, I throw my boots on and I walk out here in my boxer shorts and I start my vehicle. Now there's a visual for you. Keep that one in your head for the rest of the night. That's what I'm going to do for you. Yeah. Ha for me to make vehicle payments, because one of the biggest reasons I didn't have a lot of money left over for my courier company is because I had to make a lot of car payments. I had to make a lot of car payments, usually 2 or 3 of them at a time. It wasn't until the last couple of years that I figured out that I'm going to buy vehicles outright. The depreciation was just getting to be too much. It was different when I could buy a brand new, like a Kia Soul. For my Kia Soul, I paid $21,000.
Says, well, if you cleaned out the garage, you could park it in here, and you wouldn't have to worry about starting it at 4 a.m.
Really? Really? Yes, I do still have to worry about starting it at 4 a.m. It still needs to run. And then if I parked in here, then I got to move the wife's car, which then I have to use that to auto start and run. Unless you're going to send me another $100,000 to build a bigger garage, you could do that. You're about $200,000 deep in the American. I don't know if PayPal's going to let you send all that. No PayPal notifications yet.
Dash says, will it even fit in there?
The Expedition will. Well, the diesel will fit in here. The diesel fits in here, but it's literally, I would have to back it in, make sure I got no receiver in it. I would have to back it all the way up to the
don't they
bench.
sell block heaters in American? I can maybe ask around for some blueprints.
Yes, we have block heaters, but when it hits negative temperatures and the crap fuel we have here, you guys have way better fuel in Canada than we have in America. Oh, my garage stays heated anyways.
So many comments, but I'll be nice.
The diesel does fit in here, but it is literally, I have to back it all the way up to the bench. And the front bumper barely misses the door. So I'd have to park it all the way over to this side, and then, yeah. Then I'd still have to bring it to work. Well, for the most part at work, I would have to pull my work truck out, pull my diesel in, and then my diesel would have to sit outside and idle on really cold days. And then I have to go for a half-hour drive before I go to work and when I'm done with work. So that means I'm pretty much driving an hour a day just to warm that truck up. That's why I just put it in storage in the winter. And then when my cousin needs it in the winter, it's not like I'm trying to preserve the body, but when my cousin needs it, then he just goes out and he drives it, because usually when he's driving it, it's running for 2 to 3 hours. The diesel, in order to make everything work right on that in the wintertime, that I need to put new injectors in, new glow plugs, and I would have to get a high idle kit for it. I've tried buying a couple of used trucks with good injectors in them, but yeah. Some people are just off their rockers what they think a 7.3 is still worth. I'm not even lying. I had one guy tell me that he wanted $2,500 for a parts truck. It's a 7.3 Power Stroke, he told me. I said, no kidding. I said, I bought one that ran and drove for $1,000. Ran and drove for $1,000. But what do I know? Truthfully, if I could, like a 1978 Ford extended cab or a late 60s, early 70s Ford extended or crew cab, I would be a very, very happy man. I can work on it. I can put a Holley Sniper EFI and fuel injection system on it.
Ruger wife says we are gonna get a block heater on the red truck. This winter was a little hard on the batteries in it.
Do the batteries need to be replaced? Here's the other fun fact. Okay, so like your red truck draws a lot of voltage when it's sitting. It has a huge voltage draw. I just learned this, by the way, so I'll spread some knowledge. Knowledge is only good if you're willing to share it. So the Subaru, did not know this, has a very demanding electronic system in it. You have to drive these things. It takes 30 minutes for the battery, 30 minutes of runtime for the battery to recover from a single startup. 30 minutes. I know this because we just spent $300 something to put a battery in the Subaru. Yeah. It takes 30 minutes of runtime for the recovery. So like me, the Expedition has a very good battery in it. It has a 1100 cold cranking amp battery in it. So the mornings that I'm running behind, I'll start it up, I'll run it to work, I'll shut it off. But then when I'm done that night, then I go for a drive. Go for a round around the lakes, drive it around, you know, do that kind of stuff. That's why sometimes I'm late for stream. Uh, because as much as I love talking to you guys, I need to keep these things in as best a shape as I can. So, yeah, if I could find a basic carbureted vehicle, I would be very, very happy. But the thing is I don't have to go buy one that's done, that is mint. And yes, I would daily drive it and people would be pissed off. And I don't care because that's what I work on. That's what I know. I know how to keep them running. I know how to swap engines. I know how to swap transmissions, transfer cases, rear ends, gear sets. I can do all that stuff in them. Yes, you work on the old stuff a lot, but it is cheap and it is easy. You give me an old 70s model Ford pickup, and I will not complain about working on that truck one day because it's easy. It's the basics: spark, air, and fuel. It's the basics. First thing you check is it getting spark? Okay. Fords, it's really simple. Fords, they have the all spark, which I would delete right away anyways, so I don't ever have to deal with that, or otherwise they call it the brain box. I would eliminate that. Get rid of it. Gone. You can bypass that whole thing. So that would go away immediately. The DuraSpark, it's called. Sorry. All spark is from Transformers. Um, and then it's just basic stuff. And I just keep them around. I'd probably have a toolbox in the back of the truck that had an extra starter, an extra water pump, an extra starter solenoid, and yeah. Pretty simple. And extra belts. And there's just certain things that you do. You know, you got to change the spark plug every, 30,000 miles on those things. You got to do an oil change in them every 3,000. They're old school engines. And I would do it with a smile on my face. You know why? Because one, I can reach in there and I can grab the oil filter. It's right there. It's pretty simple. It is an 8. It is a size 8 filter. It's an 8A filter is what it is. Depending on who you go through, it's an 8A filter. Pretty sad I can still remember that. Matter of fact, I think I still got one up here. From my last old school. Where's this one? Yep, right here. This is an old STP filter. Check that out. Think I know my Fords? Pretty much any Ford V8 or inline 6. The 8A filter. Some of them are PH8A. It's usually... Yep. I know my... Like I said, it's... You got to change, do the heads on it. I can literally do a head gasket in one of those trucks in a night. If I had to have that truck first thing in the morning, I could sit out here all night and change head gaskets. As long as I didn't overheat it to the point of shutting off, those heads are pretty durable. But if I had a big block Ford V8, one of the things that I would be saving money to swap is spending the $2,500 and putting aluminum heads on it. Right. And that's the thing. Chevys, okay? Chevys, unfortunately, the 350 small block had numerous filter variations, so there's not one standardized filter for it. But Chevys are pretty simple, too. They're a 3-wire run system. Their spark system is the pickup coil underneath the distributor. The pH filters were Fram or Purolator. Because when Fram was actually a good filter, it was a PH8A. Fram used to be one of the best filters out there. Now, if you want my recommendation for top of the line filters for your vehicles, it's either going to be a Wix or a K&N Gold. So those are the two filters that I would recommend because they still have metal internals inside, and their filaments don't fall apart. So I would strongly, if you're doing your own oil changes, either get a Wix filter or a K&N Gold filter. I prefer the K&N Golds because they got the little nut on the back of them where you can just put a wrench on them. Purelators used to be one of the best too. And then Motorcraft, I don't know about the Motorcraft filters anymore, but here's the other thing. So one of the common knowledge things that people know, if you buy a Ford, you put Motorcraft spark plugs in it. Motorcraft spark plugs in a Ford. GM, you put AC Delco. Chryslers were a little weird because if you didn't get the Chrysler plugs, you could go to a cheap plug, a Champion plug, but you knew you were going to replace them more often. GMs are probably one of the simplest wiring systems in the old school trucks. 3 wires runs that whole truck. Yeah. And all the power stuff, everything, fuse box, everything runs right down to the starter. Everything meets at the starter. I would have to say GM is probably the simplest wiring system. There is not a whole lot of extra mods you can do to a Chrysler, but they're still pretty basic. Chrysler is always trying to be innovative with their wiring stuff, but that's also why they had more wire fires than anybody else.